I'm Amy from She Cooks, She Eats, and this week I'm going to show you how to make an Île Flottante. You were supposed to be getting a vlog on roast chicken this week, but then Tuesday's Great British Bake Off happened. The technical challenge this week was a floating island, or what they kept referring to as Île Flottante. I was really excited by this because I've been having Île Flottante for years. It's my favourite French dessert, and I was really excited to share the love. So imagine how bemused and dismayed I was when everyone who made an Île Flottante as part of a bake-along really didn't like it. I did some research and found the problem. What they made on Great British Bake Off was a floating island, but that doesn't mean it's the same thing as an Île Flottante. Although floating island is a direct translation of Île Flottante, it's not the same thing. What the British call a floating island, the French call œuf à la neige, or snow eggs. Œuf à la neige is a poached meringue floating in custard. Île Flottante is a soufflé in crème anglaise. Only a subtle change, but apparently it seems to make a real difference when it comes to flavour. On the Great British Bake Off, they kept using the words Île Flottante and floating island interchangeably, but they're just not the same thing, and I'm making this vlog to stand up for Île Flottante because they are bloomin' delicious. So if you made a floating island along with the Great British Bake Off and you didn't like it, ignore it, try this instead. Much nicer. The recipe I'm using is from this book, I Know How to Cook by Jeanette Mathieu. It is a traditional French cookbook. It was given to women when they were married by their mothers, and it pretty much contains everything you need to know about French cooking. I really like it. So I've adapted the recipe from this book. All you need is 3 eggs separated, a splash of vanilla, 100 grams of caster sugar and 250 ml of milk. First things first, preheat your oven to 150 degrees. Separate the eggs, whites in one bowl, yolks in another. Whisk the egg whites to stiff peak stage, then add 40 grams of sugar and whisk again. Okay, over the head test. Cool. One day I'm going to do that and the eggs are just going to fall all over my head, I swear. You have your meringue, now it's time to make a simple caramel. To do this, put 30 grams of the sugar in a very small saucepan with about half a tablespoon of water. Pop this over a very low heat and stir gently until all the sugar is dissolved. You can tell when the sugar is dissolved because it'll stop feeling grainy when you run your spoon over the bottom. When it's dissolved, increase the heat until it starts boiling and then don't stir, just watch it. As soon as it looks like kind of a light caramel colour, take it off the heat and add a few drops of cold water just to stop it from cooking. I really want to stir it. I know I shouldn't, but I really do. Drizzle a little bit in my ramekins. Really nice light caramel here. Okay. Now spread this lovely light caramel all over the inside of your ramekin. It's most important that it's on the bottom, but try and get a little on the sides if you can as well. Now fill your ramekins up with your meringue and smooth the top over so it's level. Now you need to take your oven-proof dish and fill it kind of halfway with hot water, and then pop your ramekins inside so the water comes halfway up the sides of the ramekins. There we go. And that goes in the oven for 45 minutes. Whilst that's cooking, make a crème anglaise. Add your milk and your remaining 30 grams of sugar to a pan and bring to a gentle simmer. Add a splash of vanilla to the egg yolks and then beat gently whilst the milk is cooking. Okay, so my milk is just starting to simmer. Now I need to add it a little bit at a time to the eggs. Very important to only do it a little bit at a time so the eggs don't heat up too quickly. If they do that, they'll cook. So just a tiny splash and then whisk it in. Tiniest of tiny splashes. Whisk it in. Lovely. As soon as it's incorporated, tiny splash more and repeat. The splashes can get bigger as you add more of the milk in. Okay, that's fully whisked in, and I'm going to pop this back in the pan. You want to stir the custard all the time whilst it's over its medium heat, because you want it to thicken but not cook. So if your creme anglaise curdles, what you need to do is just add a little bit of really cold water, maybe half a tablespoon or so at a time, and then whisk really, really hard. This will bind the fats that have separated and you should end up with lovely custard again. It's just about done. Way to tell is if it coats the back of the spoon. So I'm just going to grab a clean spoon here. Yep, I think that's about done. Oh, that's delicious. So it's been 45 minutes, my meringues should be done. I'm going to get them out of the oven. They've grown like soufflés should, which is good. Now the difference between these and poached meringues is that they're firmer, so they're soft, they're quite almost cakey in texture. They are much firmer than a poached meringue. There's no sogginess whatsoever. Like floating islands or œufs à la neige, these are served cold, so I'm going to take them out of the hot water and leave them to cool. Final bit now. I left my islands to cool completely in their ramekins, and then I boiled the kettle, and I'm going to fill the same oven-proof dish I used earlier, kind of about halfway full of boiling hot water. So what you need to do is take your island in its ramekin and dunk it in the boiling hot water for around 30 to 60 seconds. I've had a go at this already just to make sure it worked, and it did, and I left it in for 60 seconds just to make sure. Obviously be very careful when you do this because the water is boiling hot, but I'm just going to pop it in. Been in there for 60 seconds, moment of truth. Get your serving dish ready. Very carefully lift your ramekin out, pop that on top and spin it over. Okay. An Île Flottante. The good thing about doing it that way and leaving it in for longer is that all the caramel melts, so you get this lovely kind of sauce effect. Then you just take your creme anglaise. I warmed mine through. You think traditionally it's served cold, I prefer it warm. And then just plop that round. And there we have an Île Flottante. It's so pretty, but how does it taste? So you can see it's kind of a cross between a soufflé and a meringue. It's nice and light, like a soufflé, but it tastes like that nice chewy bit inside a meringue. It's so good. Do you want to try some?
That's really good.
Isn't it? And small?
Yep.
So there you have it. That is how you make an Île Flottante. Much nicer than the floating islands they made on Great British Bake Off. See you next time. Bye!